Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. Today's topic, the one thing that will stop you from restoring a Sportered or bubba'd firearm. So probably the number one interaction I have with people on the YouTube channel, I guess on my Facebook page and Instagram and all that stuff, is people asking me or telling me, hey Redneck, I'm about to, or I have bought a sporterized firearm. What's my next step / here's my plan. And inevitably I will, give them some advice, probably stuff they don't want to hear. I never hear back from them, which I'm not entirely surprised, because if you've watched my previous videos on attempting to restore a Sportered or bubba'd firearm, my thoughts on the matter aren't exactly optimistic. But I keep getting the questions, so now I'm gonna lay down why you're probably not going to be successful again. And I'm going to do it through the boomer filter of a personal anecdote. So that means I'm going to take 10 minutes to explain something that I could say in one sentence. What do you want? So, some years back, I came into possession of a Gewehr 7184 rifle. If you're not familiar with it, it's kind of like an early to early mid Mauser rifle design, and it was in service from about 1871, 72 to 1887-ish when it was replaced by the Gewehr 88. It's not famous rifle because it was never used by the German Empire in any war, and I think it saw limited action maybe in China, during that whole Boxer Rebellion thing or whatever. At any rate, so I got it for a cheap price, and there's two reasons why I got it for a cheap price. Number one, it fires the 11mm Mauser cartridge, which hasn't been commercially produced probably since the 1960s, and reloading for it can be a pain in the ass because finding brass can be a bit difficult and or expensive. The second reason, and here was the big one, it was sportered. Wood had been cut down, some of the furniture, the brass, the bits, the sling swivels and all that stuff were gone. So it was a sportered rifle. But I got it for such a cheap price, I figured I could probably restore this thing to its former glory of the Second Reich. Except reality started to set in. So I got this rifle home and I started looking at it, and the wood was obviously chopped down. Now, what can you do about chopped down wood? Not much, probably, but there is a possibility that you could fix that wood. And what I mean by that is you can either get super lucky, lottery ticket kind of style lucky, and find an original stock that you can buy and repurpose for your rifle. I actually found Gewehr 7184 wood at Numrich a couple of months later, and I almost pulled the trigger on it and I didn't, and then ended up selling, but that was actually a good thing. Or you could, in theory, reproduce that stock yourself or get a professional to do it. It's going to take some trial and error, but you might actually get it done. So, okay, in theory, you could replace that wood. The next thing I noticed was, yes, as I stated before, it was missing some of the metal bits, sling swivels and barrel bands and the little springs that hold the bands in place and all that stuff. And it was also missing, because the wood had been cut down, the tubular magazine that originally came with the 7184. It uses an underbarrel tubular magazine. I was like, oh great. Okay, so in theory I could find those parts too, particularly the tubular magazine wasn't a deal breaker because you just fire it single shot. The Gewehr 71, before it was converted to the 7184, was in fact a single shot rifle. So don't worry about the tubular magazine, but the sling swivels and all that other stuff, well, in theory you could fabricate that stuff yourself. Okay, so not a lost cause. The thing that killed the project, though, was the fact, as many Milsurp / sportered firearms are, the barrel had been cut down. Now, you can fake wood, you can fake the metal bits, but you can't fake length. That's what she said. And You can't make that barrel any longer than it is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, redneck, you can just find a replacement barrel. Well, chances are that replacement barrel is attached to a firearm that works. Yeah, okay, you might find a barrel on a firearm that, the receiver blew up because, for whatever reason. But chances are it's connected to something that works already. Also, who are you going to get to replace your barrel with this new barrel? You can't do it yourself, probably. I mean, if you're a gunsmith, great, you can do this. But you got to find a gunsmith who can do this. That ain't cheap either. Okay, so you're still laying in heavy cash, but forget it. You're not finding a replacement barrel for your firearm. It's not gonna happen. I'm telling you that right now. So that's it. That's the reason why you're probably not going to restore your military surplus sported or bubba'd firearm, because the barrel has most likely been cut down by somebody who, however many decades ago, wanted to make a cool hunting rifle in an 11mm Mauser, in my case. You can't do anything with it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, you could probably still live with a shorter barrel, redneck. Why are you giving up so easy? Here's what you've probably forgotten or are not taking into consideration. The wood on old firearms, like old rifles, like the 7184 and pretty much anything I can mention from, the 18 whatevers to the 19 whatevers, the wood is full dress, as in old lady 1800s dressing gown ball dress, neck to ankles, which means that wood goes from the end of the buttstock all the way to near the end of the barrel. If you cut down that barrel, you now have excess wood, more than likely. And you're not going to cut down that wood to account for that shortened barrel, or otherwise you're a moron. If it's original wood, if it's your own creation, a repro, well, knock yourself out, who cares? You're already down the path of less restoration and more resto mod. So you can't do anything with that. Well, okay, I know what you're thinking. The clever of you are already ahead of me. They're going, well, you know what, redneck? You can turn it into a cavalry carbine. Chances are whatever rifle that you're trying to restore also came in a cavalry version. This is true. If you're in luck, the barrel has been cut down to cavalry length. If you're in luck, and not shorter, because then you still got the same problem. And if it's longer, you could, in theory, cut down that barrel to get it to the regulation cavalry carbine length of that particular rifle. But now you have to find, okay, you can either use your created wood and turn it into a cavalry carbine, or you're in luck, again, lottery ticket luck, you can find the wood furniture for a carbine just lying around. Chances are probably not, because cavalry carbines are typically made in fewer numbers than the regular, so they're going to be even harder to find. Not to mention, all you've created is kind of like a fake version of a cavalry carbine. If you can never sell it as a cavalry carbine, it's always going to be a fake carbine. The collectors aren't stupid. They know the same information that everyone else does, thanks to the internet and everything, and all the books and references and everything else, and Ian's videos. We know how to tell the difference between a real cavalry carbine or a real rifle and a fake one, simply because the information is out there. So you can't even sell it as a cavalry carbine. At best, you can sell it for as a unsported, unbubba'd firearm converted to a cavalry carbine. So, congratulations, you got nothing there. So, it all really comes down to the barrel length. If the barrel has been cut down, and chances are if it's been sported, like it's a 95% probability that that barrel has been cut down, you can't restore this thing to its original condition, because it'll impact all of the metal bits. Chances are the sights have been replaced, so you got to find those. The wood won't fit on a shortened barrel, more than likely. Nothing works simply because the barrel has been cut down. And that's going to be your number one impediment to restoring a rifle. And ultimately, that's what happened with my Gewehr 7184. I noticed, belatedly, that the barrel was so short that I replaced it with the original full dress military wood. The wood would have been too long for the barrel. And all of this, you know, the forward sling points and the barrel bands and all that stuff wouldn't have worked anymore because the barrel was just no longer in its proper length. So I ended up selling that rifle for not very much money. I actually took a loss on that one. And then not long afterwards, actually, ironically, I found an original full-dressed, unsported, unbubba'd Gewehr 7184. I think if you follow my Facebook page, you'll occasionally see it out at the range. And I think, actually, maybe it'll come out this weekend because it's been a while. I learned. And it's not the first time I've learned when it comes to trying to unsporter and unbubba a rifle. It's always the wood, which is the Rubicon of, you know, restoring rifles. You can never get past it unless you just happen to have a spare barrel lying around and the capability and the ability to replace it yourself, or you got someone who can do it for you. Up where I live, gunsmiths ain't a dime a dozen anymore, so it's not exactly easy up here, let's say, if I were to try and do that sort of thing. So once again, I'm gonna say it, and I say it with all love and all generosity of spirit. You see a sporterized or a bubba'd military surplus rifle in the store, and unless you're buying it just as a shooter because you want to save your pristine one, or you want to use it as a hunting rifle, it's in a caliber that you can use for hunting, and the ammunition is readily available, yeah, go ahead, buy it, but otherwise, walk away. Walk away. It's just going to be an exercise in frustration. I learned I don't buy bubba'd or sported firearms anymore. I don't care how rare they are. I don't care if it's Hirohito's Arasaka that somebody sported. I'm walking away from it because I know that I'm not going to be able to restore that thing to original glory. So that's my thoughts on the whole matter. The one thing that's going to stop you from restoring that beautiful sported or bubba'd rifle is always going to be barrel length if it's been cut. It's never going to be a happy story. So those are my thoughts on the matter. If I made you sad or angry, I apologize. If I confirmed your bias, good job. Other than that, I hope you found this video to be vaguely informative and entertaining. If you did, feel free to subscribe. If not, don't worry about it. At any rate, have yourself a great day. May all of your shots ring true, whether it's a sported, bubba'd, or a regular rifle. Take care. Bye-bye.